Hi folks! I'm often asked which lenses to bring on a photo trip to the coastal rainforest. Well, the short answer is bring everything you own. There are opportunities to shoot the tiniest tide-pooled creatures, sweeping grand vistas, and iconic wildlife, often all in the same day. In reality though, life is about compromises, and lenses are no exception. They come with a physical size and weight, fixed or variable apertures, and fixed or variable focal lengths, all of which determine the kinds of shots you take. The first thing to think about is how are you even getting your gear to the coast? Camera gear is heavy for its size, and the smaller regional airlines that serve our remote coast are very sensitive to baggage weight. Expect to have not only your checked baggage, but also your carry-on weighed and the airline's baggage policies strictly enforced. Check your airline's website and know before you go. I usually put my bigger lenses in a hard travel case and send them as checked luggage while carrying the rest of my photo gear in a lightweight looking small backpack that easily stows above or below seats. I'd much rather pay an extra fee for another bag than not get my lenses there at all. While considering weighty matters, it's also worth thinking about how much you're going to be carrying your gear around. Shorelines are rocky and slippery places, and you'll often be ensconced in layers of warm, waterproof clothing. Definitely worth a few dry runs at home to get a sense of what you can comfortably handle. Also, directly related to weight is the maximum aperture of a lens. For any given focal length, the size and weight of a lens is directly related to its maximum aperture. Drop that F number down and watch the size, weight, and cost of the lens skyrocket. On the other side of the coin, however, is the extra light available to you with wider apertures. They can give you a shallower depth of field, which is great for subject isolation, and affords you higher shutter speeds at any given ISO setting, attributes especially useful when shooting wildlife. Finally, let's talk about focal length. People think of this as the amount of reach you get with your camera. Really, we're talking about field of view, which is a combination of the focal length of the lens you use and the camera you stick it on. A 50mm focal length lens will have a different angle of view depending on whether it's on a full frame, APS-C, or micro four thirds sensor camera. For simplicity, I'll talk about full frame equivalent focal lengths. You can decide how you get there. We'll divide things into wide-angle, mid-range, and telephoto lenses. Wide-angle lenses include prime lenses with a focal length of 35mm or less, as well as a whole host of zooms such as 14-24, 17-35, and the like. Mid-range lenses are typically in the 35-200mm range and include 24-70 and 7200mm zooms. Telephoto lenses typically have a focal length over 300mm and include zooms such as 200-400, 150-600, as well as the exotic large aperture prime lenses. If you're hoping for frame-filling wildlife shots, these lenses will definitely be your priority. Obviously, your lens choices will be influenced by your favorite types of photography. But let's assume for a moment that you're naive to the area and up for taking pictures of anything. As a general rule, the more time you're planning on spending on land, the more you'll use your wide angle, even your macro lens. You'll have far more opportunity to compose shots with interesting foregrounds complementing beautiful skies on land. Overall, however, this tends to be the least used lens in most people's bags. The mid-range zooms tend to be the real workhorses out here. I generally use this focal range twice as often as a true wide angle. At the wide end, the slight telephoto compression helps rein in the sometimes vast stretches of ocean between elements in your shot. If I need a wider field of view, I'll often shoot multiple vertically oriented overlapping shots and then use software to combine them later into a panorama. The longer end of this range is great for portraits, isolating interesting details, and for when wildlife unexpectedly pops up close by. Speaking of wildlife, for those iconic wildlife shots, you'll need a lens in the 300-600mm range. On boat-based trips in the Great Bear Rainforest, I'll keep 20-30 shots at this focal length for every wide-angle shot that I keep. Now, that could be because I'm terrible at landscape photography, but it also certainly reflects that the amazing wildlife is one of the main reasons folks visit the area. The widest aperture focal length lens you own in this range is the one to bring. While you're at it, don't forget a monopod or tripod so you can give your arms a rest while waiting for that whale to reappear. Lastly, always remember the best camera is the one you have with you. And I would add, even if it's your smartphone. This is especially true if you plan on sharing your pictures mostly on the web. So in summary, if your trip will be mostly land-based, having a wide, medium telephoto lenses available might be equally important. If you're going to be mostly boat-based, however, then you're really on a wildlife trip, and I would put the most emphasis on bringing the longest focal length lens you own. Oh, and don't forget, it is a rainforest, and check out my videos on how to dress both yourself and your camera for the climate. So there are some things to consider when choosing which lenses to bring on your trip to the coastal rainforest. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and I'll see you out there.